B Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. On behalf of the Maldives, on behalf of the members of this Majlis and my personal self, it is a pleasure and an honor for me to welcome Excellency Federica Mogherini, the High Representative of the Union for Foreign Affairs and Security Policy, and the Vice President of the European Commission to the People's Majlis of the Maldives. Welcome, Your Excellency. This is our parliament. And if I may say so, Madam, this is the oldest parliament in South Asia. We came into being in 1932, and this is our 19th parliament. We elect one every 5 years. Excellency, we amended our constitution to allow for multi-party politics in 2008. Since then, we have had 3 presidential and parliamentary elections, and the European Union closely observed all 3 of them. We thank the EU for those observations. Madam, it is with regard to the last presidential elections that we are particularly thankful for the European Union. The last 5 years were challenging to the people of the Maldives. Former President Yamin, to put it mildly, was certainly not the best of Democrats. And it was with those difficulties that we went into the recent presidential elections in 2018. Not many thought there will be free and fair elections in the Maldives, and not many thought that we will be able to peacefully transfer power. But you and your officials did have faith in us, and it was through your engagement that we had fairly free, not free and fair, but fairly free elections. And we were able to transfer power during November of 2018. Madam, we maintain friendship with like-minded people and countries. Maldives people aspire to be a functioning democracy, and therefore our friendship with the Union is important. Your Excellency, our main trading partner both for imports and exports are Europe. We mostly export fish, and a third of that is bought and eaten by Europeans. Madam, we came to government pledging to bring in policies that will increase the price of fish for the fishermen. We hope that we will be able to find an amicable trading relationship with the EU where the Union does not charge a duty on the fish we sell to you. Excellency, our other main trade is tourism, and again, more than half our tourists arrive from the Union. Your Excellency, in fact, this week and last week, this Parliament was busy working on fisheries issues. One of the resolutions that we debated last week was a resolution that calls upon to ban purse-seining in the Indian Ocean and to call for sustainable fishing practices in the Indian Ocean. We believe that this is an area we can cooperate and find amicable solutions with European countries who are purse-seining in the Indian Ocean. Finally, Madam, climate change and impacts of jihadi movements are issues of concern to our peoples, and I am certain that we can find avenues to address these issues. With this note, I would like to present you with a little gift that you can take home, Madam. It's a map of the Indian Ocean as seen in the 1500s. Maybe they might like it. This was done by the Portuguese. Well, Excellency, now I'd like to ask you to address the Maldives Parliament, please.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Friends and colleagues, if I can call you this way, for me it is really a special honor to receive this invitation and to be able to address you today in your parliament. I have started my political career in my own national parliament quite some years ago now. And I always feel very emotional whenever I have the honor to be able to even enter an hemicycle again or address a parliament, because this is the house of democracy. And I know how important the work that you do every single day for your country, for your people, for your constituencies is. So I am very thankful, first and foremost, for this honor you give me to be able to address this honorable parliament. And I think it is the very first time I have this honor outside of Europe. So it is even a more special opportunity for me. And I really, from the bottom of my heart, thank you for this honor you give me of being able to address you today. This is one of my final visits, official visits, in my capacity as High Representative of the European Union. I still have a few months to go, but I wanted to pay this visit for sure before the end of my mandate. And in particular to have the honor to address this chamber, as I said. I would also like to thank every single one of you, but also the government, for the very warm welcome I have received today here. We have very many things in common, much more than one could realize. We share many of the same priorities, and I believe we have often found ourselves on the same side of the global debate when it comes to the most pressing issues of our times. You mentioned, Mr. Speaker, climate change. I believe this is the most obvious and clear example, and maybe even the most important one, of how much we share in terms of priorities and also convictions when it comes to our global action. It took too long for the world to understand, but I'm proud that together, for instance, we managed to build the global consensus that led to the Paris Agreement against climate change. Here in the Maldives, even landing at your airport, no one can deny the devastating impact of man-made global warming. At the same time, climate change is not just a threat to your country. To your country, it's self-evident. But also Europe feels it on an everyday basis. And if you think of European cities that remind me so much of your own capital city, think of Venice or Amsterdam, where water is part of the city, we face a similar threat. So your engagement against climate change is a service not only you do to your own people and country, but also to the entire global community, to the whole of humanity. And it is a common engagement that we share. This is something that we can only tackle together as a global community, where everyone accepts their own responsibility and contributes to the common cause. In Europe, probably there has never been such an acute awareness of the urgency of addressing this issue actively. So you can count on us to be always at your side on this fight. Last June, the European Union signed a financing agreement worth 5 million euros with the government of the Maldives. And last month, the European Investment Bank signed a 45 million euros loan to assist renewable energy projects. So we Europeans are together the biggest contributor of public climate finance to developing countries, and this will not change. I can guarantee you that this is a commitment we have for the long term. We have put climate action at the core of our domestic policies back home, but also of our foreign policy, because this is a vital European interest as much as it is a vital interest of the Maldives. We are in this together, and we will continue, I believe, to work together, both bilaterally and in all multilateral frameworks, starting from the very important summits we will have in New York in September, and where we will be once again on the same side. Global warming is not the only common challenge we have. Tensions have risen around maritime routes, not only in this part of the world, but also in this part of the world. And this is something that, as Europeans, we cannot underestimate. 1/5 of our trade with the world goes through the Gulf of Aden and the Indian Ocean. So for us, it is both a matter of European interests and also of shared principles and values. We believe the governance of our oceans must be peaceful, cooperative, and based on the multilateral law we have all agreed to. A peaceful Indian Ocean is yet another common challenge and common interest we share. The same goes for our work against terrorism. We still have the images of the Easter attacks in Sri Lanka, not so far away from here. And I've had the opportunity to personally thank your Minister of Defense for your commitment to step up and coordinate together with us the prevention of terrorist attacks and of radicalization. And today, I am pleased to announce that we have prepared a European Union package of 2.5 million euros in support of the work against terrorism that the Maldives is undertaking. We are together with you also in this. The agenda of our cooperation is long, and I would not mention all the different elements that compose this agenda. But it's not only about common challenges. It is also about the great potential of our friendship that is creating new opportunities for the people of the Maldives and for Europeans alike. I believe we want both of us to strengthen the connections between our countries, making sure that connectivity brings the real benefits for workers and for local communities alike. And precisely to explore these opportunities, we decided that a business roundtable will be organized in the coming months to enhance trade and investment between Europe and the Maldives. We need to explore this big potential, including also the private sector, much more. I am here today in a very faraway place, and I think I am the only European that spends only a few hours and only for work in this beautiful place, but I'll come back for tourism once. I'm here today because the Maldives and the European Union have entered a new phase in our relations. The speaker mentioned that since the inauguration of your new government, clearly our relations have become closer. We value your commitment to democracy, including the role of this parliament. We value your commitment to a more inclusive political environment, to the rule of law, to the respect of human rights. History tells us that only a strong democracy, an inclusive democracy, an open society can bring real human growth to the people of any country and also a real sustainable security. One thing I discussed with the defense minister is also this, and with the foreign minister that is present here with us today, is also this. One other thing we share is the need to fight terrorism, keeping our human rights standards high. And I believe we can lead the way together in this respect. So for this reason, for all these reasons, we have decided to revoke the restrictive measures that the European Union had adopted last year. You recently held a peaceful and democratic vote that elected this very parliament, and we Europeans want to be with you as you make your democracy stronger and more resilient. This is what I told today to the President in an excellent meeting we had this morning, and the government. This is what I tell you. We want to accompany your agenda for good governance and against corruption, including the reform of the judiciary. And we will support you in every step you want to take to help you deliver on your citizens' demands and aspirations. And I know there are some issues on which we might require more work. I'm very much aware of how important the fishery is for this country and for its people. I know that we have to work now intensively to find sustainable solutions on both sides. I am afraid I cannot commit to a positive result of that, but what I can commit is to go back to Brussels and discuss with my colleagues sustainable ways forward to address this issue in a way that can benefit the people of the Maldives as they deserve. But this is a common commitment we share. We will need to find creative manners to have a way forward. As you graduated as a country, which is a good news in itself, we will need to find other ways to support your exports and your economic activities. Again, I cannot commit today. I don't want to raise expectations that are then difficult to manage. I cannot commit today to a solution to that, but I can commit that with my team in Brussels and with the upcoming new European Commission that will enter into its functions as of November, I will pass the message that it would only make sense to work together with you, together with the authorities, to find ways to address this issue that is so important for the people and for the economy of the Maldives. So for us, the Maldives are not just a faraway paradise, even if I can testify it is, as more than 500,000 European tourists witness every year. For us, you are most of all a partner in a challenging world. And I know that in this part of the world, being a series of islands, you might feel sometimes the temptation of feeling apart from the rest of the world, while actually looking at that map that the speaker had shared with me. You are at the very crossroad of many different strategic routes, and also of many probably geopolitical games or tensions. We understand that very well. The European Union doesn't have any hidden agendas. We do not play geopolitical games. Our logic is never a logic of spheres of influence. We never ask our friends or partners to be only our friends or partners. We want to build a network of partnerships based on values and on shared interests, because we believe that developing win-win solutions and cooperative approaches in the world of today is the only effective manner of tackling problems that we all share. So this is the message with which I come to you. I know that this is the highest visit from the European Union that has happened in history, and I hope this visit can mark the beginning of a new chapter in our friendship. A chapter of friendship where it is clear from our side that in your work, in your efforts, in your fight to build a stronger democracy, in your fight in a complicated environment from a natural point of view, but also from a geopolitical point of view, we are partners. We are partners, and we are sharing the same path that we want to walk together. So thank you very much for your hospitality. Thank you for the honor of this invitation. And I wish us all a very fruitful and successful way forward as we turn this page and we completely renormalize relations between the European Union and the Maldives, opening the way for an even stronger cooperation between us. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Your Excellency. Before you go home, we hope that you can also enjoy our country. So many of your countrymen actually come here. The tourist trade of this country was started by Italian tourists. They came here in the 1960s and 70s. So we hope that you will also be able to have a little sample of that. Madam, we wish you all the best in your future endeavors. And now we end this session and we will go for tea. Thank you.